Hello, hello. Welcome, one and all, to Elite Week. I hope you guys are ready for a good time. We're going to chill out, have a few drinks, and talk about some internet spaceships. How about that? All right. So let's start right off the bat with sound checks. Roy, come in and say hi. Hold on. I fucked up. Here we go. Try that again, Roy.
Okay. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you here. Hope you're having a good time.
Beautiful. All right. And let's go with Tweets. Say hi.
Happy Friday night, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everybody's doing well this weekend.
Right on. And let's go with WKJEZZ.
Oh, hey, this is WKJEZZ, down with the sound of the wickedness. Adopt an Asp Scout, thanks.
Right on. And next up, we got BOSSLADYB.
Hello, everyone. It is another wonderful Friday evening, and I look forward to getting into our topic tonight.
Right on. And last but not least, we have our special guest, the lovely and talented Snow, a.k.a. Commander Sapphire Kamigawa. Say hi, Snow.
Hi, Snow. It's good to be here.
Beautiful. I need you to speak just a little bit more so people can hear you, because I've already got everybody else's levels locked. I just want to make sure yours are good.
Is that better?
Right on. Let's see what people seem to think here. Going into the stream live chat, I'm not seeing anything yet.
Nolan's been calling out everyone. Looks like everyone's good.
Okay, why is nothing coming up in the stream live chat? That's something else just broke. That's weird. Okay.
The restream is working, but it's not showing back in
the channel, the stream
chat.
live chat channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. All right. Let me then do this, so because I need to actually be able to see this while we go. So, seems very fucking narcissistic, but I'm about to watch my own show. At least I can see the. I gotta see the chat. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's showing up in the video, just not the chat channel itself.
Yeah, that's super weird. See the I gotta
That's
see the
very
chat.
on
Like,
brand
I
for
don't know.
YouTube and Twitch, don't worry.
Yeah, it's showing up in the
Oh,
video.
you guys all do that? Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let me mute our show. Okay. That's probably also that's something everybody does. They mute our show. I mean, the cat, not the cast, the people watching. All right.
YouTube is saying that they hear an echo.
Yeah, they were for a second because I opened up the stream, which caused that problem, which is why I have to keep it muted. But that echo should be gone. All right. We've got in the chat, we've got Biotic Keen. Oh, let's start all the way up at the top. We got Jez Wintermute. What up, sir? Nolan Sester. What up, Swordsmith? We got WKJEZZ. Nolan, everybody's good. All right. Wintermute, a huge B5 fan. Fuck yeah. Big B5 fan. Huge sad day. Tweak 74. Yuna Sakashiro. Your story. Tonight. Wow. We got Nomadic Star. What up, brother? Silent J. Biotic Keen. Mattias. Hey, brother. How you doing? We got Wolf Dragon. My XO from the squad. Bro Ken Wan. What is up, brother? And Echo Gone confirmed. All right, cool. We've got a lot to get to, so we're just going to fucking roll right into it and try to give you guys a good show. So let's see what's up here.
When you try so hard but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in reverse. When the tears come streaming down your face, 'cause you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone
Right on. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Elite Week, episode 58. Where do we go from here? Galactic Water Cooler, Friday, January 22nd, 2020. Coming at you. I am your host on this drunken cruise throughout the galaxy. And my name is Kai Zen. Joining me tonight, as always, we have my XO, the lovely, the talented Roy. Say hi, Roy.
Good evening, everyone. Glad you could join us. I think we'll have a good time.
I got you with that lovely, didn't I? The tactical officer on this cruise ship from hell, Commander Tweet. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. I've told them the key words to not say if they don't want to set me off this week, so I hope we're okay this week.
Hey, Tweet. Red Rocket. Red Rocket. All right.
No.
Our science. We have our counselor Troy of the starship, the lovely and talented BOSSLADYB. Say hi.
Hello, everyone. And I may not be empathic, but I can figure some stuff out and looking forward to talking about where we go from here.
Absolutely. And our chief engineer. He's not Scottish, but he's WKJEZZ. Say hi.
Hello, sat here in my little room just pressing one button.
Yeah.
Transporting him out, transporting him back in again.
Yep,
I
it's
need a
important.
promotion, man.
Also, you give us an extra pip, so that's always good.
Hey.
And our red shirt for the evening, our guest, Snow, a.k.a. Commander Sapphire Kamigawa. Say hi, Snow.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? Looking forward to talking about where we go from here and what's going on.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get started right off the bat. The cover art I'm calling Fresh Start for obvious reasons. Our opening song was Fix You by Scary Pockets featuring Monica Martin. And our closing song will be Don't Let Me Down by Lake Street Dive. I wonder if Frontier can read through my subtle clues in the titles of the songs. I don't know. So I was very subtle. All right. Let's start off the bat with our introduction. Number one, rest in peace to Mira Furlong. We absolutely love you. Ambassador Delenn of Babylon 5 fame. And the Chase voice pack in Elite Dangerous in the HCS voice packs. Mira is much beloved by B5 fans, of course, but I mean, she also did a lot of other things from Lost to just all kinds of stuff. Phenomenal actress. Also, I want to send out a huge rest in peace and you know, love to the family of Hank Aaron, Hammer and Hank. He was one of the last greats to switch over from the Negro League to the Major League. Hank Aaron was a absolute superstar, incredible human being who dealt with massive amounts of racism and all kinds of just absolute shitty human beings that were just spewing their hatred at him as a black man who had the gall to break Babe Ruth's record and also from a bunch of shitty Yankees fans for taking Mickey Mantle and the Yankees out on the way to their World Series championship for the Braves. Hank Aaron, it blows my mind that that a guy died today that grew up in a time when a black man couldn't play baseball with everybody else because whatever, and yet we've come to the point where, you know, we've had our first black president. We have a woman of color as vice president right now. I truly believe that things are getting better. I know it doesn't look that way when you look just on the day-to-day, but if you take it as a curve, I have hope for the future. Big congratulations to SpaceX on a successful test fire of the SN9 prototype, paving the way for a high-altitude test hop as early as next week. And I want to give a huge salute to the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden, starting off his term with a strong symbolic commitment for the NASA program and specifically the Moon to Mars project. The President requested and was loaned a moon rock sample to display on the bookshelf beside the Resolute desk to affirm his commitment to the project. And that is just phenomenal. I also want to give a shout out. I was remiss last week. I didn't give the shout out. I just, in the midst of everything, I forgot and didn't have time and didn't come back to it. Commander Blip, BL, the number 1P in LEET, written out LEET style. Commander Blip of the carrier Youthful Indiscretion for giving me a ride out to Colonia from the Triffids last week. That was how I got that community goal done with a minimum of hassle. So huge salute and a drink out. Anybody who knows Commander Blip, hit him up and tell him he's famous for the day. All right, we're going to be talking with our special guest, who Sapphire or Snow, who won the Elite Reddit contest. We're going to be viewing the new CG and talking about it. We've got a list of questions that were offered in lieu of an AMA, and Frontier's limited responses thus far to concerns and inquiries resulting from the delay and the divergent release of Odyssey across platforms, and what we think could be done to help to get things back on track. All this and more, so stay tuned.
If you're listening to us on the podcast and would like to see the live show and visuals, check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Elite Week and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Elite Week. If you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch and would like to know how to catch us on our podcast, check out anchor.fm/Elite Week.
For sending us your thoughts by email, you can reach us at eliteweek3306@gmail.com.
Our very active and growing Elite Week Discord can be found at tinyurl.com/Elite Week Discord, where you can check out or contribute to community feedback, resources on turning the wheel, and real-time updates about Elite from a variety of content creators.
In addition to the Discord community feedback channel, feel free to write in our YouTube comments anything about the topic of the week, as well as anything else you'd like to share. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're enjoying the show on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe and click on the bell. It really helps us out. On Twitch, a follow would be much appreciated.
If you're on Twitter, feel free to follow at EliteWeek3306 for news and information about Elite Dangerous and cool sci-fi and space news.
We record live on YouTube every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 1 a.m. UTC, so come and join in on the fun.
If you're listening to us on the podcast, please make sure to rate and review us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever platform you use. And let us know if there's a format you want us to look into.
We don't do Patreon, so save your money and just tell your friends about the show.
Right on. All right, so let's get this started. Right off the bat, warm welcome to our red shirt commanders, or I keep mixing it up now. Snow Commander Sapphire. So let's see here. You go by Snow the author on a bunch of different Discords. You're a writer, yeah?
I am an aspiring author and an editor, yeah.
Awesome. And your commander name is Sapphire Kamigawa. Now, as somebody who speaks some Japanese from when I was stationed there, Kami is the spirits and Gawa is river. So Sapphire, River of Spirits. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you might be a Magic the Gathering fan.
That was the way that you got to that. I thought you were going to go off base. I got Kamigawa specifically from the Champions of Kamigawa set, and I liked the way it sounded. I've
Right
had
on.
multiple names in the beginning, but it's always been Kamigawa. And when I found out that it was River of Spirits, it flowed, no pun intended, with what I wanted it to do. So yeah.
Beautiful. So you won a prize on Reddit. Basically, there was a thing about a month back where Reddit hit 250,000. The Elite Reddit hit 250,000 like users, registered people, and they did a contest and they asked us, hey, would you guys put up, you know, a thing like, hey, be a guest on your show? And we were like, yeah, sure, why not? And you won, and all the good prizes were taken, so you ended up on our show, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I was hoping for the HOTAS, and I got stuck with you.
I know.
So.
It's so bad.
You know, beggars can't be choosers, I guess.
That's fair. If it makes you feel any better, Roy, send the man out of HOTAS. Here we go. It's all good. Or send. Jesus
Like
Christ,
what, mine? What do you mean?
I'm out. Yeah. Send her out of HOTAS. I'm
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll get on it. I'll get
Yeah.
right on it.
I'll send
I
it
do
over.
have a spare one. Maybe we could do that. Yeah.
There you go. Look, boss lady with the sisterly love. She's like, here, I got one. I'll hook you up. Okay, so Snow, you are a exploration pilot. Like that's your thing, yeah?
That is in Elite and other games that I play that are space-based. That is all I do is explore. I have my name on 400 or 500 different systems in Elite right now.
Woo!
Because that's literally all I do. Like if I get in, all I'll do is if I'm in the bubble, I'll just start shooting out from the bubble, and if I'm outside, I'll just start shooting back toward the bubble.
Right on. And you've been playing basically since the beginning, yeah? Like long time.
Yeah, off and on. I've got just under 1,000 hours in the game, but I've been playing since just after the game was released. I followed the initial announcement of the game. I hadn't played Elite from, 1984, but I had heard about it in the year or so coming up to the release. And so I've been playing off and on since then, since just after release.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And how are you, like, tell us some of your like fun adventures and some of the things, the ups and downs and whatever of your time with Elite. Give us a little bit of your background.
Well, so when I first started playing, like I said, I'm an explorer. I wanted to go out and find the new thing that Elite had, and I had started doing research about what out there is there to discover. This was before, when I started doing this, I believe it was before the Thargoids had actually made their presence known again. But I had found out about the Dark Wheel and about Raxxla, and so I started going out just looking for where that might be, just hoping that I could discover something just on a whim without any actual research as to what was going on behind it back in the day. The unfortunate thing is I didn't do the research, so I think I went way off in the wrong direction of where I think Raxxla might be now. And that kind of set me off on my first, I'm not going to play for a while. And so I took 6 months off. And that's been the sequence of things since that first delay of my playing the game. I'll be on for 6 months, not find anything of note, maybe a couple of Earth worlds, a couple of terraformables, and then I'll stop for 6 months, and then I'll come back and do it again. And every time I come back, I look for more stuff about Raxxla, about what's going on with the Dark Wheel, and then start trying to edge my way toward where that's pointing. And then I get fed up with not finding anything of note other than a black hole or an Earth-like, and I'll take 6 months off again.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. You kind of, you have your one field that you're into, and you have a sort of a balanced, you do it some, you take breaks, you whatever. I think a lot of us could use a little healthy balance with regard to our ability to enjoy the game and then take a little break if there's a delay or something, and then, be ready to look to come back into it. So that's cool. That's absolutely cool. And what about, like, as far as, are there any organizations that you sort of have, like, gotten into, or like, have you done any stuff with the Fuel Rats or the Halseys or anything like that?
So with my I returned just before the giveaway on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
And with that return, I started doing like I'm in the middle of programming a bot for my own purposes. I joined another Discord server with somebody who does a lot of programming that interacts with voice attack. And I decided that I wanted to get more involved with exploration-based stuff. So I set up a Fuel Rats account. I'm a Fuel Rat in name only at the moment. But I'm looking forward to getting involved with Fuel Rats so that I can get out there more often. I've also been on a couple of Distant Worlds explorations, but I haven't actually finished them because, again, the 6-month thing, I get fed up and I end up leaving either just before or just after the Distant Worlds projects go on, and I end up not doing them.
Okay.
But yes, I'm involved in a couple of different things. I'm not the diehard player that a lot of people are.
Fair. That's completely fair. All right. Well, that's very cool. There's all different kinds of ways to sort of enjoy the game. So different people will sort of come at it from different play styles and different whatever. So it's always good to have that. I think sometimes some of us might get a little overly like, we play for 5 hours a day every day, and then you can get maybe a little you clutch the stick a little too tight, you clench it a little too much, and you need to kind of relax your grip a little and take a deep breath and go outside and smell the flowers or something, so that's okay. That's cool. I dig it. Well, I tell you what, Snow, why don't you join us on our drunken little tour across the galaxy, and yeah, let's get to it. So right off the bat, what do we have? You know what it is, boys and girls.
It's the Dark Wheel Update.
The Dark Wheel Update. Not a whole lot to tell you from last week. Last week we had already just triggered the pending expansion that tripped over into active expansion. We will land, knock on wood, at the Seoul test site before the next episode, before the next show goes live. So we'll be talking about that on next Friday. So look forward to it. I do want to call out the official squadron of the of the Dark Wheel Project and the Elite Week show, podcast and YouTube show or whatever, is the Black Sky Legion, which you can look up in game as BSL1 on PC. So BSL1 if you're a PC user, and if you are an Xbox user, I highly recommend you check out OPIX. And if you're a PlayStation user, find cool PlayStation people and do a thing. Right on. So that's just sort of a very brief placeholder in that we'll have news to tell you next week. Because of the way the expansion system works, you're kind of stuck for 2 weeks waiting. It's 12 days of waiting to land once you get everything all set up. And there's lots of work in between there. There's lots of work being done. And I want to give a huge shout out to my executive officer, Wolf Dragon, who is getting it done. In addition to that, we've got a bunch of regulars. I mean, I can't, too many to name. We've got, Swordsmith. We've got Control Dawn. We've got just Phil and all of the guys of the Black Sky Legion and the Hamsters that are doing work behind the scenes, as well as all of the guys that are doing work on the public orders. I just want to say, a huge, huge thank you to you. So that takes us to Frontier News. There were 2 streams. We had the Tuesday stream with Steven and Zach. We had the Thursday stream with Steven and Bruce. I saw Art and his wife both in stream chat on at least one of them. I think in both. But we have not seen Art on camera this week. And let's be honest, there was no real addressing of anything of the serious concerns. They're just sort of treading water. And I hope that the reason for that, both the sort of treading water and Art not being on camera, is that behind the scenes they're trying to get their shit together and actually address things in a meaningful way and come out with something. I hope that next week we see something, but at this point, I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But the two streams didn't really provide a lot of meaningful news as far as, I felt, but like they were streams, whatever. Galnet. Let's move to Galnet. January 18th, Galactic Summit proposal from SIRIUS Corporation. So, we had, a week ago, we had Pranav Antal and the tech hippies saying, hey man, the Sim Guru guy, like, hey, let's get together all of the important people in the galaxy in one place that could blow up real easy, just for, shits and giggles. And Lee Henri has apparently said, yeah, ditto, me too, but come over to my house. I've got hookers and blow. So there's that story. January 19th, Prime Minister MAHON campaigns for re-election. My man, Edmund MAHON, running for that re-election. You've heard already that he's got issues. He's got a challenge. And the fact of the matter is the way that I think in the lore, the alliance is basically supposed to be sort of modeled on the EU. It's supposed to be a situation of like, a bunch of disparate voices that are sort of have a lot of say in things and not really sort of a strong executive. And I think that the history, the lore of the game, basically there's a new prime minister every 6 years. Every 6 years is an election, and you never get the same guy twice because they have that kind of a system where it's like, okay, you had your shot, now you're done. The next guy gets their turn. But I think, I don't know, I'm rooting for Edward MAHON. I think he's got a shot here. I like all of his decisions except for the crazy shit of taunting the Thargoids. And as a player, I love that decision because it's exciting stuff. As a real life person, I would not like that decision. All right, January 20th, JASMINA Halsey returns to the Federation. That was awesome. It was just like a complete shock. She walks in and is like, yeah, I'm testifying, bitches. What's up? I'm super excited to see where that goes. I think it's that the trial starts next week, and I look forward to hearing stuff. I look forward to all of that. Super, super cool. January 21st, there were 2 articles. The Marlinist colonies receive emergency food supplies. So that was cool. They're talking about last week's CG. And then this week's CG, SIRIUS and Utopia compete to host the Galactic Summit. Basically, they're both saying, no, I want to be the one who has a station that blows up. And this just in, earlier today, Councilor KAINE campaigns for alliance votes. She's like, yo, don't trust that Edward MAHON. He's shifty. And I think we should hear her out. Whatever. I like Edmund, but like, yeah, give her shot. Let's see. See where the story goes. All right, community goals. Last week's CG finished. It was deliver food to the Marlinists, which ended at tier 4 of 5. We just didn't quite make it. We made it like 2/3 of the way towards that. It was like out of like 100x of things, or 150x of things, and we got to like over 100, but just shy of of getting it there. But they got lots of food. And when you look at the numbers, they got way more food than I think those people could ever use. So I feel like pretty good about that. And the second CG, which was the combat, was the combat bonds in the zone. That one finished over the weekend. That one finished like Saturday, I believe, if not Sunday, maybe Sunday morning or Saturday night. But it finished early at tier 5 of 5. So both of these CGs, if you got in the top 75%, you get a cookie. And that cookie is a PDC, a personal defense cannon, the things that you throw on there to shoot down missiles that are getting shot at you, and hatchbreaker limpets and whatnot. And also the missiles that are being launched by the Guardian drones. And that was 2 things. It was lightweight and focused. Now, focused isn't a thing that you can engineer for PDC, so I specifically asked Frontier, oh, what the hell is this? And here's the exact wording of the answer. Lightweight makes it lighter from the mass of 1.3 tons to 0.08 tons. Focused increases the maximum range from 2,500 meters to 5,000 meters. So double the range and it's lightweight 5. That shit is legit. I got 2. I was in the top 10% for trucking and the top 50% for combat. So, yay. Those are in the game as of earlier today. I was prepping the show, so I didn't get to log into the game yet. I'll be logging in after the show, but yeah, they were already in the game and people were getting them and people were confirming that hey, I got my 2. So, yes, they're there, and yes, you got 2. And we got you the exact wording on what the prize is from Frontier. So there you go. This week's CG. Okay. There's 2 of them. The first is support SIRIUS's bid to host the summit. And the second is support Utopia's bid to host the summit. They're the exact same thing. But it's either, you're basically pulling for A or pulling for B. The rewards are credits, and the way that you participate in this CG is to deliver anomalous bulk scan data, atypical disrupted wake echoes, exceptional scrambled emission data, and unusual encrypted files to either Lembava for Sirius or Polevnik for the Utopians. And we're going to definitely that's going to be our first discussion topic. So we're going to sort of save the deep discussion on it. But I see that you have something on the CG, Jez. Do you have a notification you want to make on it? Or was that more discussion topic stuff? You are muted, Jez. Everyone take a drink.
Yeah, I'll wait for the deeper discussion because there's a good chance I could skittle over something you've got planned there.
No worries. All right. And then we had the Wednesday AMA. So on Wednesday, we got a notice. The AMAs are dead for now while they revamp the process. In its place, they are releasing a weekly themed list of filtered questions on a specific topic answered by developer Gareth Hughes. This is kind of something that we more or less asked for. We said, hey guys, maybe there's a better way to do this than just open up the question line for an hour on a random Wednesday when everybody's at work. Especially, and I think that Frontier appreciated the fact that this lets them off the hook from being live with just basically this community managers getting whack-a-mole with questions about the delay and concerns and people expressing themselves. Last week's was on the subject of settlements. We kind of hit a couple of the points. This week was on the subject of this sort of combat FPS and questions about the interface for the FPS and sort of all of those type of questions. Going through it, they ask, are we going to get night vision? Well, your suits will be upgradable in many ways. We'll see. Okay, well, what about radar? Yeah, there's radar on your suit just like there is on the ship. And this is kind of funny because I was calling that second icon. Remember when we did our breakdown show, guys? I was calling that second icon. I was like, that's clearly the jump pack, or I'm calling it the Tigger button. Well, somebody specifically asked, can we officially call the second icon on the display the Tigger mode? And the response from the developer was, yes, bounces away. Which, that's cute and playful. I'm not exactly sure if cute and playful is what is called for right now, but you decide. Will the HUD be customizable, i.e. different colors? The interface won't be customizable for Elite Dangerous Odyssey, though we will, of course, be taking feedback on board regarding accessibility. So I would point out that for years, people have been calling for this. And it sounds like they're just hearing it now. Okay. Can players turn parts or all of the HUD off? No, the HUD is very necessary. Can we hide from other players on radar? We're still in the process of reviewing how PvP in the HUD will work. We're going to just put an asterisk by that because that, I think, highlights a concern for me in the future. That it's like, if we're this close, if we were at the point where it was supposed to be deployed Q1 and then it got pushed back a little bit, if you still don't have your head around the basics of how the PvP is going to work, I'm a little concerned. Like, where are you at with this? Then stuff about Odyssey NPCs. I will point out, basically, I'm going to just sort of skip over a good chunk of this other than the last one. I will say that with the Odyssey NPCs, the theme of it was basically like, hey man, relax. It's just a light AI. As far as the people are like, well, how does it work when the NPCs run out of oxygen? What if we blind them? What if this? Can they get into ships? Can they get into SRVs? Can they whatever? And like the sort of theme is like, no man, it's not that deep. It's just you know, these are light NPCs, and I've heard some grumblings from people like, oh, see, this is dumbed down AI. This is weak. This is whatever. And it's like, look, this is just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, you have every right to it. But I'll say what I said elsewhere already on the subject is, yes, this is dumbed down AI. This is sort of just simple and to the point and whatever. And I'm okay with that. We have that already in our ships. We fight against NPCs who can see you even when you're running cold. We fight against NPCs who chaff 19 times. We fight against NPCs who you shoot their engines out or their power plant, and they just keep going. Yes, it's lightly done. But realistically, people, what's the alternative here? Do we want to go the Star Citizen route where, and I love Star Citizen as a project, and I think it's super awesome, the things that they're doing. But let's be honest. Everything in Star Citizen has to be super overly ambitious. And we're going to rewrite the way AIs work and this, that, and the other. And what you end up with is 5 years in and your AIs are still standing on chairs T-posing. And it's like, I get that you want it a little bit better, but Frontier, I think in this instance, is going with the approach of, let's get it out, let's get it on the shelf, let's move on to the next thing. There's a lot of stuff to do. And I think that all of these answers around the sort of dumbing down of the AI of the NPCs and how that's going to work, it doesn't really upset me. It doesn't really set me off because I would rather them have it now than have it 5 years from now and have it be 10% better. I don't think that time is worth it. In Star Citizen, they're literally, everybody's a vampire. There are no reflections in the mirrors because they can't just go with the simple reflection sort of software that every other video game uses. They are doing this super realistic thing that's going to be so much better in 10 years when it's done. But I'm okay with Frontier in this particular case, just saying, hey man, we've got this is good enough, and we're moving on to the next thing. That's just me. Maybe other people have different opinions. So the last question that I do want to highlight on the AMA thing, I don't know what we're calling this now, the Friday developer news drop is, will there be some kind of on-foot system authorities? Yes. Omnipole. They are often kitted out with the best gear, so if they turn up, make sure it's not for you. That Omnipole, that's straight out of what do you call it? I'm blanking on the name right now. There was another game, was it Anarchy Online, that they had Omnipole. That's interesting. All right. So there's going to be some super cops. Basically, I would say look at it being as the equivalent of ATR right now, where it's like, if these guys show up, shit got real. That's cool. I mean, whatever. All right. Nobody seems to be dotting. Okay. Well, we'll move on to Roy's stories, and then we'll get to the discussion topic. Oh, okay. Here we go. Roy's got one on AI. Go for it.
I was just gonna say, like, look, if this is Frontier's first foray into FPS, I've been curious what it is they're going to take a stand on, and if they're going to try to, raise the bar and anything. But in the current environment, I think it's fine. If I compare it to other MMOs I've played, I don't think what they propose so far is out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I mean, we're already dealing with stuff like that where it's light on. Like I said, they keep firing chaff. It doesn't keep track of how many they have. Like, so what?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Tweaked.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with your point earlier that if they don't know how PvP is going to work on the ground yet, that's scary as hell for as close as we're supposedly to a release, even on PC, or hell, even 6 to 8 months on console. And as far as the AI goes, I really hope they're not dumbed down too much. I mean, you don't have to go too far to see games where AIs are living their own lives and they get in cars and drive around corners and get on horses and go rob a bank or go do whatever, and we could have AIs in this game that get in SRVs and go drive over to the next settlement and do something. And I don't want them just to be walking around like it's 1998 here.
Okay. Keep in mind, they did put out a job listing like 2.5 years ago for a programmer to do AI of like driving vehicles. So, I mean, I think we're going to have cars driving around. We're just not going to have people getting in the cars. It's going to be, there's people in the cars, and there's ships that we already have that are AIs, and, SRVs that are AIs probably. But okay. Jez.
Yeah, to echo and go further on what Tweak said, the concern that I have not only is it this close to launch, okay, so what do we have that is solid that they know about? Because they've not said much, well, we're going to talk about that later, but they've not said much beyond FPS lately. And now they're saying that there's things about the FPS that they don't know about either. So that was more than a red flag for me. That was like the whole pirate battalion coming at me with flags and cannons firing off, so...
All right.
Yeah.
Snow?
Yeah, I kind of agree. But the one thing that really stuck with me is the difference that the AIs are going to have with regard to oxygen and battery levels, and that the AIs are going to, like, AI NPCs are going to be walking around with consumable batteries. Does this, like, for me, I'm thinking, does that lead into something where players are going to have the ability to create or buy or find these consumable batteries so that they don't have to be affected, like the AI is not going to be affected? That concerns me, because it looks like they're just looking for a way to make it easy for them to push it out instead of trying to make it work more effectively. It's just one of those things that sticks with me.
I would almost guarantee you that is exactly what it is. And I'm not even, like I said, me personally, I don't even think that's a bad thing. I think that, yes, we're not going to have access to those magic batteries. That's just the NPCs. But unlike the NPCs, we can reload our shit. We can do other stuff. I think it's just, if you look at the history of games for realsies, other than, chess, where you have a supercomputer that is literally programmed to a very finite set of rules, almost every video game in the history of time does some level of this. They dumb it down, and it's a lighter version in the background that you're not supposed to see. And I mean, if you don't look super close, the mirage or the trick, the magic trick, the prestige works. It's only when you get, assholes like us who are digging into the questions very minutely of like, how does your battery pack work, that then but I mean, that's pretty much true of almost all games in one way or another. Boss Lady.
So I want to reference that first dev diary that we saw maybe it was the second one. It was the second dev diary where we saw kind of the actor acting out the animation scene and that piece of it. I do think that even if we do get dumbed down AI, we're probably going to have more interesting AI and NPCs than they have in Star Citizen right now, because they will be moving around or cleaning glasses, or, I think there's going to be a lot more range of motion that we'll be seeing, even if they are kind of like Jez mentioned earlier on a track, and we can kind of get a sense of, because as humans, we can see those patterns. We can see, oh, they're going to come by here every 10 minutes. All right, let's time our assault to make sure that there's no guard here. I do think there will be some depth that will trick us into not noticing. But I think you guys have a good point about the play mechanic. That should be interesting to see.
Right on. I want to call out something. Matt's mechanic in chat. Absolutely, yes. He's notifying us that in addition to the extended range on that PDC, it also has double the speed. The speed is doubled to 2,000 meters per second. So that is definitely a good shout. Thank you very much. All right, so we've covered the AIs. Let's move on to Roy stories. Watch your hat. Hold your hats, everybody. Here we go.
We now return to our Inara Commander series with Yuna Sakashiro's Unbound, Part 16, Proximity. Commander Adaxius is playing the role of Logan Valberg.
Why did you get these?
Sakashiro pointed at Zillard's cybernetic eyes.
Degenerative myopia. I was severely nearsighted, with the condition getting worse over time.
Zillard replied.
I decided to get rid of them.
Sakashiro looked surprised.
I know what you're thinking. Does it take courage to have one's eyes removed and replaced with implants? It does. I was scared before the surgery. I knew it was final and irreversible. Once my eyes were gone, I wouldn't get them back. I would rely on implants for the rest of my life. And like any other type of surgery, this one too had a small risk of failure. The neural interface could have been rejected by my body. I could have ended up blind.
Did you regret the decision?
I certainly would have if the surgery had failed. But it turned out fine, so no regrets.
How do you see the world now? Is it very different?
I don't need glasses anymore. And as a special perk, I can see a wider frequency range, beyond IR and UV. It's weird on the beginning, but easy to get used to. Wouldn't want to miss it now.
What exactly did you see on Logan's ship this morning?
Some sort of electromagnetic burst, like a beacon signal, but much stronger. If that's what it is, his ship might be broadcasting its location. It would explain how they found us here.
You think someone manipulated his ship back in Coral City?
Zillard shrugged. Valberg returned with 2 glasses of beer and another cup of green tea on a tray.
Drinks for the ladies?
He said, and handed over a beer to Zillard and the tea to Sakashiro. He sat down next to Sakashiro.
Do you still feel cold?
He asked her.
A little, but much better than before.
She said and smiled.
Any interesting topics while I was away?
We talked about Vera's artificial eyes.
They're awesome, aren't they?
He grinned.
If Yuna had a pair of these, would you still find her attractive?
Zillard asked with a mischievous smile.
Her
question had caught him off guard. Sakashiro teased.
You wouldn't?
And made a face at him. Zillard and Valberg laughed. After Zillard had finished her beer, she got up.
I'll leave you two alone for a while,
she said and winked. Valberg and Sakashiro nodded and watched her walk away and leave the pilot's lounge.
Vera told me you saved my escape pod, and you helped Dr. Simmons pull me out of it,
said Sakashiro.
Were you scared when you saw me like that?
Valberg looked down and nodded. She laid her hand on his.
Thank you,
she whispered. He turned his head and looked into her eyes without saying a word. Then he laid his arms around her. She rested her head against his shoulder. His hand moved to the back of her head and caressed her hair in slow, gentle strokes.
Yeah, that was my warning that I think everybody should be 18 plus to hear where this story goes from there, because holy cow, where that just left out was next week it's going to be Yuna Sakashiro After Dark. That was, wow, okay. That was steamy. All right, so let's move on to let's see here. We've got discussion topics, and here we go. So the first discussion topic this week is going to be on this week's CG. Now, the fact of the matter is I've got issues with it. And I'm going to go ahead and say mine real quick and then have everybody jump in on the dot system and say yours. First off the bat, this comes just off the heels of a double engineered CG where people overdid it to get both of the rewards. Many people I've heard, they're like, yeah, man, I did this and then I did that and like I CG'd it up and I got both of them. Okay, so whenever Frontier has a double CG, a double engineered reward, and now that people can get 2 and they know that they can get 2, they go at it hard. The next week is always a light CG. It's always like low turnout or lower turnout. In addition to that, there's no real reward for this CG. There's no module. There's no decal. It's just cash. In addition to that, there's no real clearly defined story ramifications. It's just Site A will host the summit or Site B will host the summit. There's no real hook. If you give a divergent plot line with a story-based CG, again, please go to the trouble of providing some narrative that would actually make it compelling. I mean, let's be honest, there are some people who dig hardcore into the lore and know some things about Leon Rhee and, you know, his membership in the club and this, that, and the other that would probably have some feelings about him or whatever. But to the general player base who haven't gone, you know, balls deep on this stuff, it just looks like, okay, there's going to be a party. Is it going to be in Chicago or Pittsburgh? Like, who cares? In previous times where they did a storyline that like the CG mattered, side A would win or side B would win, it would be like the Marlinists who are oppressed or the Empire who are oppressing them. There, people knew what was up and they cared. You've had a feeling of these are the good guys and these are the bad guys, and I care for some reason. In this particular case, I don't think most people give a shit. And then lastly, well, not lastly, I want to say bravo, huge bravo to Frontier for experimenting with a new type of CG. That is awesome. However, please, never, ever, ever again create a CG asking for engineering mats. That is just made of oof. That's one of the most hated gameplay loops in the game for obvious reasons, and people will not part with those mats unless you offer them some really damn good prize. And even then, they'll part with them, but they'll resent it. Also, let's be honest, you're literally pushing your players, those that participate in this, into the punishingly bad gameplay loop of going into solo mode and spinning a turret around for hours at Jameson's crash site. Like, most of the people aren't going to do this, and the ones that do, you just took them out of the universe for the better part of the week. I don't get that. Instead, how about you do a CG where we drive an SRV around for some reason. We have to pick up a MacGuffin and take it from A to B to rescue somebody, or an SLF for some, like, you can figure something out. Or have us haul or mine stuff that we don't normally do, like haul stuff to a place or mine not the meta. Let's not be mining platinum and void opals and low temperature diamonds or whatever the meta has been either today or over the last year. Let's not do that. Let's mine some weird shit that we don't normally mine and take that to a place. Let's say there's a new massive secret project and we just get a code name for it and it's going to be put out by Lakon or Core Dynamics or Zorgon Peterson. And that could later, like, we just get a code name. We just get a hint, just a little tease. You don't have to tell us what it's for even, because I know you're still trying to keep it secret about SRVs and ships and whatever. But, like, give us a code name and then later you could tie it in the story to, like, hey, man, that Project Mongoose, you just put out, you built this new ship. You built this new SRV type. You built this new thing. I think that shit like that would make the player base go nuts. People would love it. So, having said all of that, we're starting with Jez on the dots because he was in from when we were talking about it in the week news, and then we'll move from there. Go ahead, Jez.
I'm going to actually sound positive, but contrary to what you said there.
Fair.
Think back on the lore that's been presented in the game when we were sent to attempt to take out Liz Ryder earlier in the CG arc. Sirius and Blue Mafia have ties, so I think we may be heading to a big coup de grace moment, or at least a smoke screen to get the player base excited. And I think, if I have any power of persuasion over everybody, I would say focus only on Sirius for this CG, because Sirius ties with Blue Mafia. We tried to take out Liz Ryder, or they did in the story. Shit can get spicy with all of that bubbling away.
Very cool. Next up, we've got Tweaked is next.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Kai, on this one. First off, engineering materials. Yes, it's only data materials, which is probably the easiest of the three to get. That being said, I'm not giving you my materials for no reward at all. Maybe if you give me a double engineered weapon of some kind or something, I might consider it. But for cash, forget it. Forget it. I got too many ships I want to engineer, even though I've got a ton of them already. But secondly, this week, this is the week of all weeks. Maybe not for most PC players, but it's been a down and depressed week in Elite Dangerous this week after last week's announcement. And there's a lot of players, including myself, whom are trying to find reasons to get back in game, trying to find the motivation to enjoy the game again. And then they give us a CG that doesn't really matter a whole lot, and there's no real reward, and it's just more oof on top of oof for the last 2 weeks straight, it feels like to me.
Fair enough. And for a different opinion, we got Roy next.
Yeah, so if I was to try to take the most sort of benefit of the doubt interpretation of this CG, yes, it's engineering maths. It is the lowest grade ones. A lot of those maths I get just because I scan everything all the time as I'm going in and out of stations. I think, in principle, it's a really touchy subject, making maths the currency for this. At least they picked the ones that, yes, you're going to sit and spin a turret if you haven't got any at Jameson's crash site, but you get high grade stuff from that site, and when you do the down trading, it turns into hundreds and hundreds of lowest grade stuff. So
sure.
It's probably the least onerous way to do engineering maths. I'm trying to want to do this CG. I'm probably going to do it anyway, just because, they made I think Bruce made that sort of, I can't remember the exact quote, but the kind of an offhand comment on the stream about, like, if you care about the lore, this is one that's important. This is kind of what I took from it. I'm really paraphrasing there, but
for sure.
I was hoping that, and I want to thank Jez for just bringing up what he did about Lee Young Roy. I don't know the lore behind these two sides, and I was kind of hoping that even if anybody on this panel knows anything about the two sides, for me and others that don't have a clue, is there anything to add to what Jez said? Like, if maybe we could have to have a favor here and kind of in a 30-second thing, educate the community about this is why this might be important. And I think you gave it a great start, Jez. And maybe that's the whole story. Maybe that's it. Everybody should go for Lee Young Roy. But I'd love to know, even though they didn't tell us, because in my mind, I can get over the engineering math thing. I love that it's a new mechanism. I really hope that they're not going to judge, because I think there's a series of these CGs and they're trying out all these different things, and I imagine there's somebody analyzing this and saying, well, how's the community react to this kind of CG or that kind of CG? And as Tweaked pointed out, the timing here is horrible. But I imagine these things were set in motion independently of this news, obviously. So I can't really, again, if I'm trying to give them benefit of the doubt, I'm not going to judge it on that front. So how can I get excited about this? What do you guys say about, like, who matters here?
So real quick, let me just echo, like, again, huge salute to Frontier for doing something new. That's awesome. Like, we've never had a mechanism for a turn-in for engineering mats. And I think as painful as that is, like, oh, you guys chose the wrong thing to experiment with. But I salute you for experimenting. That's awesome. Please don't do it with engineering mats again. And now I'm going to skip a couple people. I'll circle back to you. And I'm going to jump straight to Jez because I want you to be able to elaborate more on that point. Because you're absolutely right, Roy. Bruce called it out in the stream on Thursday. He's like, I hope people pay attention to this because it's very interesting in the lore. And it's like, okay, but in order for you to get that, you have to have been watching that stream, which they weren't giving out drops, so not that many people were, and B, heard him say that, and then C, have that stick with you enough that you think about it, and then D, know enough about the lore, know enough about the stuff, sort of to make it worth your while. Now, I will say briefly before we go to Jez, it is a thing that Leon Rhee is reputed to be the head. What's the name of somebody that's the head of the table, the head of the council, the head of the
chairman?
Chairman, yes, he is the chairman of the board of the executive committee for the club, the bad guys. But that's a reason why maybe not to like him and whatever. But Jez's point is interesting as it ties into the story. So go, Jez.
It actually ties into more the way that we play the game, because if anybody has done engineering unlocking lately, just to sum it up, you go to Arubia to turn in universal cartographics to the Blue Mafia, and then that unlocks Marco Quent, who is tied with Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't actually something that may be tied in with the lore, obviously, but it is something that a path that we all travel to unlock Sirius, or have done if we've chosen to go that route. So it is kind of not lore, but it's there, and it is something that we do.
And that is so diffuse and buried that even to dig into it that deep for a very knowledgeable person, you're still left with this could be a thing. I really would hope that Frontier would do a better job in the future of when you have a narrative, make it explicit, let people see. All right, now we're going to double back to BOSSLADYB first and then Snow. We got the beautiful ladies up next. Go.
All right, so tying in to dropping it in, Wise Guy said something that made me think, yeah, we like our Easter eggs in this game, but don't bury it that deep, right? Give us the ability to access that, because if it is just mentioned, like you said, in a stream, offhandedly that it's important, but people haven't watched it and don't watch Elite Week and don't know that that's a thing, they're going to completely miss that even tiny little thread. But going back to what I was going to originally say, which is I almost think that it would be more exciting to us as players if they swapped the reward. Like if we had to give credits to get engineering mats, that would be everybody would be on top of that.
I'm there in a heartbeat if they do that.
Damn.
Right?
Exactly. You had me at engineering mats payout.
Exactly. I mean, could you imagine that?
I've got a sound file I want to play, but I won't.
Oh yeah. No. But that's what I'm talking about. I mean, all of us, even though, like you said, yeah, you can go to Jameson's crash site, you can sit there, do the scan. But if there was just even something where, because everybody does have a lot of credits, flipping the book and making it worth it so that, maybe it's just the top 25%, but then it really incentivizes people to get in there for something that, like you guys mentioned, is a really hard gameplay loop to get excited about. That would be amazing.
And I agree. I would like in general for us to see, even if it's not like give credits, get engineering mats, just forget it. Just if it's any CG, if it's, you're trucking stuff or you're getting combat bonds or whatever. Oh yeah, the top 75% gets X amount of mats. The top 50% gets Y amount of mats. Like it better and better and better the higher you go up. Then you will see people busting their ass to avoid having to reload. Dude, put some pharmaceutical isolators in there. I will blow a dude. Let's get this going.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to let Snow make her point, and then afterwards, I demand Jez, you go ahead and prep that sound file of whatever the hell it is that scared Boss Lady, because I'm not afraid. Let's do it. Go ahead, Snow.
So going right along with what Boss said and with what Jez was saying, part of the reason why people like me end up leaving the game for months at a time is because of those really boring loops. The last time I stopped playing was literally because of Dav's Hope. And I sat there for hours one day just trying to collect mats so that I could go do engineering. Using engineering mats, whether or not they're level 1 or level 5, as the collectible for a community goal, to me seems it seems like it's meant to put people off. Like I tend to look more deeply at what is going on in the lore to find out if there's something there that's not being shown on the front. And I agree. If you're going to throw an Easter egg in, especially with things that are like what's been going on the past 2 weeks, make sure that that Easter egg is at least visible and not hidden underneath everything. When this first came out, when I first read about this, I said, okay, there's two groups that are trying to vie for control of a summit. That in and of itself is political in nature. So there's got to be something else going on with this. But because they don't have the rewards there, nobody's going to do it. Nobody's going to look into the lore as deeply as Jez or other people are doing to find this stuff. So why are they going to give up their hard-earned engineering materials or go, looking for them for hours on end, like what I did the last time I did that, and not have anything, tangible on the other end of that?
Absolutely.
There's got to be something further going on here that we just don't know about yet. Maybe they'll, say something about it 3 days into the CG. Who knows?
Absolutely.
I just think it's a mistake.
So to give you, just to sum it up for people who might be like, I don't even know anything about these guys at all. The Utopian group under Simguru Pranavantal are the assholes who developed Vitadine nanomeds as a miracle cure-all wonder drug treatment and then kept it from everyone that no one else in the galaxy could use it until somebody stole some of their shit or found it on a crash site, and then they tried to sue to get it back, and the lawsuit just ended like a year ago with the judge saying, nah man, that's whatever, the people that took your secret shit that you were too much of a dickhole to share with people and then reverse engineer it so they can make more, Vitadine, the company that reverse engineer it, yeah, we're going to go ahead and look the other way on the IP infringement because this is literally medicine to save people and you guys are dicks. I think that was a direct wording from the judge. And then SIRIUS Corp, you're talking about the guy who is the head of the club. You're talking about the people who tried to offer Professor Palin help with security. And then when he said, no, stay the hell out, I don't want you stealing my stuff, they attacked him. His former, literally, SIRIUS Corp employees were caught breaking into the place by his security and turned over to the cops, and they were like, oh no, they're former security, and we want to reiterate now that we would like to help them with our new security. Like, these are just, it's like, okay, the assholes on one side or the assholes on the other. It's typical politics. Everybody's dirty and shitty. So, like, I'm not feeling it. All right, Jez, play us your crazy whatever thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this part of the show is when we do interpretive dance or sounds to describe the moment when Elite Dangerous Commanders figure we're getting a CG to turn credits into engineering mats. There we go.
Oh my god.
All right, that was a lot of build-up for that. All right, there we go. So that's, again, huge salute to Frontier. I think it's totally awesome that you tried something new. I think the thing that you tried here was really bad, and you shouldn't do it again. But it's cool that you were willing to try something new. You put a new thing into the game, and that's awesome. I think we need to. Frontier doesn't play the game the way that we do. You're talking about literally groups of players, whether they be dev or community managers, that can go into their account and edit the amounts of their mats that they have and get their engineering done. They don't play the way that we do. So they're not going to see things the way that we do. But I think if we're just assholes and yell at them every time they try something new just because they fuck it up, that's gonna, that's gonna encourage them to just be more conservative and not try new stuff. I think it's awesome they tried something new. I think what they tried was bad. I think they should do it the opposite way next week or the following week. In the future, learn from this to do not this way. But it's still cool that you tried something new. So, yay. All right. And then Roy is asking, is there a reason to support one side or the other based on expected outcome rather than who is less evil? Nope. There's absolutely no reason to support either side. They've given no compelling narrative whatsoever as far as like, well, if you support this side, they'll be more militant against the Thargoids or NMLA. Or if you support that side, they'll be less whatever. So it's literally just at the end of this week, next Thursday, there will be an answer of, we're going to hold this summit in Limbava, or we're going to hold this summit in that Paranol or whatever. It's literally, it's like saying, we're going to a party. It's going to be in Pittsburgh or Cincinnati. Who gives a fuck? Like, give us something. Give us a hook to care about if you want to make a story thing. I don't want them to take the lesson from this, like, well, I guess the players don't care about story. No, we do. But just give us one. Like, you can't say, okay, this is a choice. Are we going to have ice cream or cake for dessert? That's not a story. Nobody gives a fuck. It's light. It's whatever. All right. That takes us to community question number 2. Community question number 2, or discussion topic 2, is this. This is week 2 of the delay. Feelings are settling in. It's another week without a substantive response from Frontier, really. And also, I heard from a couple of people last week that, like, I felt like Tweak didn't get a chance to say his full stuff. I feel like he was edited or reined in for time or content or whatever. I want to say this. Maybe a little he was reined in for time, and we're going to give him special time to shine right now to start this topic off. But he was not reined in at all for content. I will tell you that the day before the episode and 2 days before, I think 3 separate occasions in that week, Tweak said, hey guys, if you want me to, he was like, Kai, if you want me to bench myself for this week, because I'm pissed. If you want me to bench myself so that you don't get in trouble with Frontier, that's fine, I'll understand. And I'll tell you all right now what I told him. I do not want you to bench yourself at all. We are not going to leash you in the slightest bit. We're not going to go full fucking Latvian on this where we're screaming and yelling and calling people's names and being childish, but we are not in any way going to muzzle anyone for their valid concerns and reasons. And in fairness to Tweak, I should say, I didn't think for a second that he was going to stoop to that behavior. Was just pointing out that short of that, I'm not editing anyone out or stopping anyone from talking. So we're going to start this off with Tweak. It's week 2, man. What are your feelings? Anything you left out from last week or anything you've got from this week? Go.
Well, first I'd like to say I didn't feel like I was reined in at all. In fact, I feel like I maybe went a little much. But that being said, my feelings were honest, are honest, and haven't changed one bit, unfortunately. And all for the same reasons we laid out already. The BGS, the first footfall. And I feel like I pretty much said everything last week. However, this week, that stream Thursday afternoon with Bruce, for somebody that is a smart guy, and I believe they are all smart guys. I like this group of community managers. Bruce stepped in it on Thursday afternoon. If I could have reached through my phone and strangled him, I probably would have on that day. As a console player, to hear him say, well, listen, it sucks for console guys, but think about it this way. The PC guys are going to be the guinea pigs. They're going to test it out. We're going to work through the bugs, and then you'll have a more stable game when it finally releases on console. Really, dude? Really? You couldn't have said anything worse. And then on top of that, talking about first footfall, he said, oh, well, there's 4 billion stars in the system. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some systems out there for you guys to get your first footfall on. And I just wanted to look at him and say, dude, I don't give 2 shits about a system 200 light years away from me. I care about the systems in our space. I want the planets that we can land on in OPIC space, in the 15 systems that we're in, to have OPIC's names on them. I don't care about any of the other planets. And they just don't seem to grasp that. And the way he came across on that stream did nothing but divide. It was not pleasant.
All right. I'm going to jump in real quick and say this. I'm not at all stifling your expression, but I watched that stream on Thursday and I saw Bruce not being shitty, but trying to like find the silver lining in the cloud. I thought that
we don't need a silver lining in the cloud right now. We need truth. We need honesty. We don't need to hear, "Hey guys, we'll test it for you. It'll be fine." We don't need that right now.
What I thought I saw him saying is, I acknowledge that it's shitty and unfair and bad, but at least this, and like I said, silver lining, whatever. And I get that you're at the point where you don't want to hear that. And I understand that clearly has you heated. Guys, we're suspending the dot system for this topic. We're going to just, everybody, try not to talk over each other, try to whatever, but just hop in. You got something to say it.
I feel like Bruce's response is indicative of a trend I saw growing in the AMAs where it's almost like they felt like they always have to tack something that on paper maybe sounds good when they deliver some unpleasant news or an acknowledgement of something that's less great. And I think that I go back to what I said last week about authenticity. Sometimes it's okay to just say, "Yep, that's bad, and we're sorry," or that's that landed poorly and we're working on it. And stop there. Stop there. You don't have to throw the little thing on the end that ends up coming across as less than authentic and ends up dominating people's thoughts because that's what they latch on to.
It was offensive, is what it was. As a passionate player of Elite Dangerous that discovered this game when I was already on console, to hear what he said, I was honestly offended.
Okay.
I'll go after Snow.
Go for it.
So that's one of the things that like the reason I play a game like Elite Dangerous is, like I said, exploration. And the reason I explore is to get my name on the planets and the moons that I visit first. That's the only benefit I have of going out and exploring and spending my time away from the bubble. If I were a console player and I was told, "Hey, there's 400 million stars out there," after being told that my console game isn't going to be released for 6 months to a year after the PC players, not only would I be upset, I would probably leave the game and never play it again, because that isn't just offensive. That's a slap in the face, because they know that it's going to take 200 plus years of everybody finding a planet or a moon, of constant play to get all those 400 million. They know that it's an unattainable finality to that resource. So it is a slap in the face to console players when they say, "Hey, you'll find other things to put your name on or to put your group tag on, so don't worry about it." No, you don't do that. You don't do that to a group of players that already had to wait for the release of the game on console for, what was it, a year and a half after PC release that PlayStation and whatnot got it. You don't do that to them. That's literally a slap in the face.
And again, just echoing what Kai said, and we continued on from last week, the PC players aren't in a fortuitous position, guinea pigs or otherwise, because the minimal viable product for the Odyssey launch for PC, we're pretty sure that is changing, and they're maybe cutting a few corners on what they wanted to release for the game.
Oh yeah,
that's the feeling. But I don't want to play devil's advocate for the CMs, but we've seen this time and time before, and it's the first time it's happened to us, is that the devs are telling the CM team, "This is our situation, and it's your problem. So The players may not like it, but you're the CM. So this is the first time, I think, in Art's tenure that the devs have positioned the CM as collateral damage between the player base and themselves. And we've seen it happen time and time before with other CM leads.
Yeah,
You're
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're absolutely right there, Jez. That was the other thought I had about that comment he made about how they'll work all the bugs out by the time it gets to console. Is why should you guys on PC have to expect a buggy game when it comes out for you?
Mm-hmm.
It should be, I mean, yeah, of course you're going to expect a few bugs here and there, but it sounded like they're thinking, oh, well, we're going to release it on PC. It's going to be buggy. We'll play it. We'll fix it and we'll get it right. That's not the way it should be. You should be pretty confident that you're going to release it and you're going to have a working game by the time it releases. And I did not get that impression out of there.
I'll say this.
That comment, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Just real quick, that comment says that this game isn't going to be ready for release. You've got a release coming out and the PC players are going to be doing the bugs. That's what beta and alpha is for, is it not? Come on.
Okay. I'm going to hop in here and say this. I'm not worried about, are we going to get a buggy release? Spoiler alert, anyone who's hearing the sound of my fucking voice, we're going to get a buggy release. The game is going to be full of bugs. The servers are going to be an absolute shit show, and it's going to suck for the first week or two. That's every MMO ever. Your options are accept that or not get new stuff. But I think we're all okay with that. I think we're the sort of what I call the good people of Elite, the rank and file players. We know it's going to be buggy. We know it's going to be a shit show. That's okay. We're happy to slog through it for the first week or two until we get stuff fixed and right. We had it with fleet carriers. We had it. We will always have it with new releases. That's just the nature of development on something as tricky and complex as this. And I don't think that Elite players are looking to, burn Frontier and effigy over that. That's fine. To me, that's fine. That is what it is. But here's what scares the living fuck out of me. We are at the point, we are in Q1 of 2021. We're at the point where we were supposed to be getting this damn thing launched up until, 2 weeks ago when they suddenly backed it up. And we don't really know hardly anything about Odyssey yet. Here's what we know. Pretty planets and pew pew. And that's all they've really told us. Other than that, they briefly said they're salvaging in the game. They've shown us absolutely fuck all to do with salvaging. They've briefly said that there is, botany, exobiology in the game. They've shown us fuck all. They've shown us a concept drawing of a plant gun and a second and a half of footage of a guy walking with a plant gun, like first person, whatever. But And I know I'm going to piss some people off and say this when I say this, but look, I just watched two separate sort of dev diary type, what do they call it, Inside Star Citizen or whatever. I watched two separate releases today that was just put out this week by CI on Star Citizen. One was this thing with this new rivers and terrain mechanics that they're putting in and how they do it. And the other is with the lead art guys on talking about how they do hairstyles and facial whatever and fat guy versus skinny guy and different suit stuff. They did art asset stuff. In both of those, they were incredibly detailed conversations where they pulled questions off of Reddit, were the most upvoted questions, and they answered them. And they answered them in detail. And some of the answers were not great. They were when I say not great, they were detailed, they were full answers, but they weren't the answers people were looking for. But they were unflinching and just said, here's where we're at, here's what we're looking at. Now, I will, yes, as you always have to say, especially since I got that one fucking nut job that every time I say the word Star Citizen, he's like, oh, I'm trying to sell you on a cult, it's all a lie. All right, yes, Star Citizen fucks up a lot on stuff when they say they're going to do stuff and whatever. And I called them out just earlier in this episode when I was talking about the AI and said, hey, Star Citizen will take any project. They would take the AI in this thing, and instead of turning it into a month-long thing that gave you a 90% product that it's like, that's okay, they would take 7 years to give you a 100% product and maybe never release it. So, like, I'm saying that openly and honestly. But those videos that I saw today, those were fucking dev diaries. Those were, here is details, here is information, here's how it works. I challenge anyone on this panel. Tell me a fucking thing about salvaging. Tell me a fucking thing about plant exobiology. Tell me a fucking thing about hacking. The only reason why we even know that hacking is a thing is because they said it once, and that was in reference to the FPS assassination missions. We know nothing about Odyssey other than Pew Pew and Pretty Planets. And why would it be if we're in quarter one, we're in the release quarter. Actually, excuse me, the original release date was December. We're past the release date. And when Frontier moved it from December to Q1, the first set of delays, they said specifically, while we're going to be delaying the release, we're not going to be delaying the release of information. We're going to keep that schedule. We're going to maintain that schedule 100% so that you have all the information. Okay, so if that is the truth, if that is not full of shit, then we are now 1 month past the release date where we're supposed to have all of this, and our information that we've gotten is nothing on anything other than Pew Pew and Pretty Planets. And I love Pretty Planets. I don't give a fuck about Pew Pew, but I love Pretty Planets. Love Dr. K. I want to be Dr. K when I grow up. But why would it be that we know nothing about salvaging, know nothing about new SRVs and ships, know nothing about hacking, know nothing about exobiology? Put 2 and 2 together, people. To me, it seems very likely that what Frontier is doing behind the scenes right now is making hard decisions on, we're going to cut this, we're going to cut that, we're going to cut this. We haven't told anybody anything, so they don't know about it. So it's okay if we cut shit because they can't complain because they don't even know about it. And then we're going to, I strongly believe that they are going to make their deadline of getting this thing released by the end of May because they told their shareholders they were going to do it. I strongly believe that they're going to do that. But if they do that on the back of gutting the content we're supposed to get so that the salvage content is light as fuck, the hacking thing is a barely, minimum viable product, the exobiology is minimum viable product. If they put all of their eggs into just shooting an asshole in the face with a shotgun, I used to do that for a living. I don't find that fun. I'm not excited by that. And I'm scared that that's why they haven't told us shit. I'm scared that they're trying to be sneaky and pull a fast one here for PR purposes. And that scares the fuck out of me. I would much rather, if you have to do delays, if you have to gut some stuff, if you have to push things back 6 months or a year, hey man, I get it. If you tried your best and it just didn't work out, fuck COVID, forget COVID. Or it's entirely because of COVID, fine. Say that honestly. It has nothing to do with COVID. You just tried and failed. Hey man, I love you for the stuff that you make. So if you try and fail, that's okay. I love you that you tried this new thing with the CG this week. I think you messed up and I hope you learn from it, but I love you for trying something new. I love you as a company, Frontier. Please love me back. Treat me like a grown-up. Tell me what the fuck is up so that we can have an open, honest sort of understanding of where we're at. Okay. So we got Roy's up, I guess?
A quick one, just to agree with what you said about scope. I mean, the scenario that fits the facts is they've got a constraint of the investor, what they told investors publicly. That's as serious as a heart attack. Something, come hell or high water, is going to get launched in May, or serious financial consequences as a result. So that'll happen. And the scenario that fits the facts is, okay, what's left to accommodate? What's left is they haven't told us a lot about other things, so the scope is the variable that becomes the thing they can slide. Because if you had a timeline that just extended, but you still had the same vision and the same scope, why wouldn't you tell people about what's in the scope? Like there'd be no reason not to. The only reason not to talk about the scope is because you're planning on changing it.
And not for nothing, but if you had a timeline that it extended, if you have to blow the date anyways to give us a real product, then just blow it by an extra month or two and make it released to everybody at once, maybe? I don't know. Okay, Jez and then Boss Lady.
Oh, we covered it. Go.
Boss Lady.
So just exactly what you just said, Kai, but in a little bit more depth. So if there is an open plan, and like we've talked about for pretty much the last 3 episodes, it would be great to see what those things are. And yes, I understand that they're doing this to satisfy the shareholders. That is a commitment that they can't not uphold, right? They can't shift that off, but instead they're shifting off the scope. I would be so happy if they said to us, even if they did say to us, hey, we're delaying the release of this part and this part and this part until later. That's okay. But I think this goes back to what we were talking about with communication is if they say to us clearly, all right, guys, we've been delayed. Here's our roadmap, which they've never actually shared that roadmap. Here's the roadmap. Here's what we were going to be able to achieve. Here's the setbacks. Here's where, we thought we could roll out salvage and hacking and xenobiology, but, the only things with this new timeline we can roll out is pretty planets and pew pew. But here's our roadmap. Here's the next 3 or 4 months. We're going to release, the next release is going to bring out the xenobiology, or the next release is going to bring out that next piece. Here's how our stage is. Here's our roadmap. Then I think all of us would be like, all right, cool. I know we won't be getting everything at release. We don't expect everything at release, but we now know that they're not just skirting the facts of what they're going to deliver. They've said what they're going to deliver. They're showing us, and they're showing us when.
100%.
That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
100%. If you tell me you tried your best and it just didn't work, I can take that as a man. If you try to lie to me and tell me your dog ate your homework, I'm fucking pissed at you. Go ahead, Tweak.
Yeah, for a long time, when Art joined the crew, we started getting great communication. It felt like there was a shift and things started improving. And then it was building the right direction. It came to a crescendo. They were pumping the information out. Everybody was getting excited. And then all of a sudden last week happened. And since last week, it's almost like we've gone all the way backwards again. And it feels like instead of getting us excited and telling us what's coming, it feels like they're trying to hide stuff from us all of a sudden. And I fear with me personally, and I'm betting I'm not alone, I don't trust them anymore. I don't trust them when they say it's going to be released at a certain time. I don't trust them when they say something's going to be in the game. It feels like something's going on that they're not making us privy to. And somebody said it last week, 99% of us that play this game are grown adults. We have children of our own, grandchildren of our own. Talk to us like adults. We can take it. If you tell us there's programming issues, there's going to be a delay, we can't do everything we thought we could at first, but like Boss was saying, we can put it on a roadmap. We would be fine with that. It just feels like they are sweeping things under a rug and hoping we don't notice.
All right, we're going to let our guest make the last point, and then we're going to move to the next topic. Go ahead, Snow.
So one of the things that I think is actually happening here is fear of what happened with Cyberpunk 2077, right? They did all the stuff, they hid stuff, and now there's 2 major lawsuits against CDPR because of the backlash from what happened with that game.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with what they're doing. I don't agree with them not telling us what's going on. I was originally excited for Odyssey. It's what got me to start playing again. And I'm not excited about it anymore. There's nothing new enough in that game, in that expansion, to make me want to spend, the next 6 months of all my spare time playing Elite. Odyssey doesn't give me that excitement that it did 3 months ago. And I think it's because, again, it's speculation, but I think it's because of what's going on with CDPR. And because of that, I think they're intentionally holding stuff back for fear of saying, hey, we're not going to get this done and lose the pre-orders or whatever, people saying, okay, I don't want to pre-order anymore because you're not going to get what I have in there. And also for fear of, the shareholders saying, wait a minute, you said this was going to be in there. People are expecting that. Like, I feel like they put themselves into a corner, and the only way that they can get out of it is by withholding information and committing the lie of omission. I really feel like they don't know what they can do to rectify this. I don't see us having anything extra other than what's in the videos now. And even that isn't enough.
I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm excited for Odyssey anymore. I was excited for sure. I'm not going to say I'm not excited now. I'm literally just saying, tell me what the fuck it is, and then I'll know if I'm excited or not. I have no clue right now. All right, last point. We're going to actually give Jez, and then we're moving on for sure. Go.
I want to disagree about that whole delay what they've already said logic, because think about it, for 2 years, the live game was pretty stagnant because they were working on Odyssey. So what they have said they're going to be offering in Dev Diary so far has to be delivered, or else we just go into the chapter-based bollocks that we had for Horizons, which a lot of people didn't like. So no, I don't think we should lower our expectations. What they have said on the media so far, if that isn't delivered and there's less than what they've said, we shouldn't accept it. And I don't think we should make concessions as players like that. I think that's a terrible idea.
I think we are definitely going to be getting staggered releases of content over a period of time with this, and I think that's just the thing you have to set your expectations to at this point. I could be wrong. They haven't said it, but I think so. So we'll see. All right. We're closing that topic now. For those people, because I've heard from the community a ton of people that have been like, hey man, I love this. I love the fact that you're being honest and we're having this whole discussion that you're not afraid to call out Frontier when you feel that they deserve it. I appreciate that. I've heard from other people, even longtime fans of the show and some senior people within the community, content creation community wise. Oh, you guys are being too negative. You guys are being this. You guys are being that. You guys are being shitty to Frontier, whatever. Okay. Everybody has a right to their opinion. I am not going to be a shill. I said everything that I needed to say. Also, I have found that when people are upset and angry and need to vent, it is far more productive to let them vent, let them calm down, and then move on with the conversation in a productive way than to tell them, don't be angry. Let me tell you something. I went through about 4 or 5 different women before I learned, don't ever say to a woman, don't be angry. Holy shit, does that not work out well? So, having said all of that, we have vented plenty, and I think I let Tweak go on. Tweak, do you have anything else that you need to unload off your chest at this point? Now's your time. Feel free, and I'll pick it back up when you're done.
Nope, I'm good for now.
Okay, so we've done that. Now it's time to move to what is next. The productive phase of this is, and I don't think that letting people vent was unproductive. I think that was plenty productive. Now that we have vented, now that we've shaken that off, where do we move from here? How can we do better? What can we do? Now, for some people, what's next is going to be, I'm taking a break from Elite and I'm going to go play Star Citizen. I'm going to go play No Man's Sky. I'm going to go play that what is that, Inner Space 2 or whatever that just came out, just released for early access. Everspace, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to go play fucking Red Dead. I'm going to go play whatever. Okay, that's for some people. That's where they need to be. And if that's where they need to be, let them be there. Because trying to make them play the game when they don't want it is just going to make them hate Elite. And I don't want anyone to hate Elite. But let's talk about, for those of us that are still in it, what's next? What do we do? Number one, as we stated above, we need open and honest communications from Frontier, not marketing soundbite bullshit. That's the most important. Number two, we need some details on Odyssey other than FPS and Pretty Planets. Is there content for Odyssey that is being pushed back to a later release to make the end of the month May statement to investors? We haven't heard anything to say that there is that yet. It's just my suspicion based on the fact that they told us fuck all. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. If there is, tell us. Let's engage. It's better to be open and honest and work with the player base than to attempt to hide it with smoke and mirrors, not giving any real info on any of these issues. We need real info on salvaging, exobiology, hacking, tools, ships, SRVs, etc. Now I get some of stuff you is like, hey man, we got to hold this back for our sizzle reel. That's fine, but we're a month past launch date and we have no real fucking info. That's too far holding back. As I said above, the Star Citizen, look, go watch those Star Citizen videos. They were fucking holy cow, talking about the stuff coming in 3.13. And yes, sometimes they miss their dates and they say, like, yeah, we had planned this and then it didn't work out or whatever. But it's like, I would rather no. Yeah, maybe be a little more conservative than them, but not fucking defense attorney. I have no comment at this time on every question. That's not helpful. C, if accommodations can be made regarding divergent platform release, then please try for this. If not, rip the Band-Aid off clean and fast. It's better than stringing people along. That only makes it worse. D, if possible, maybe try to allow for some account transfers so those on console can migrate over to PC and not face a delay. What I'm talking about is a one-time free transfer. We will move your ARCS purchases. We will move your engineer pins, your money, your fleet carrier, all of your character data. We will transcribe it from one thing to the other, and now you have that. I understand that, and maybe, I don't know, I'm an idiot. I'm not a programmer. Maybe it's like, hey, asshole, that's not possible. In which case, okay, say, hey, man, we looked into that, and you're an asshole, and that's not possible. Okay, fine, fair, whatever. But, like, maybe it's possible. I don't know. And if so, then the question is that a good thing? I think, in the one hand, it might be great. On the other hand, as a counterpoint to my own argument, just off the top of my head, that could maybe gut the console community. That could maybe be where I don't know if that's good or bad or what. I want you guys on the panel to chime in on that. Also, would it be possible to allow console players to log on to like a dummy account on the PC to take part in the alpha or beta? Or to stream upon launch? If somebody were wanting to stream or wanting to whatever, maybe we give them like a dummy account with, okay, it's got, 2 billion credits and, cutter and vet unlocked. And then it's a temporary account only. So, I mean, people aren't going to use it to game the system because they're going to lose that. But for the time that people are wanting to play, for the beta, to see stuff. And I get that doesn't help at all with the BGS question. That doesn't help at all with the first feet on the ground question. I think that I hope they're looking into that and seeing if they can do anything to help with that. But just to help out with the you're months behind thing, maybe streamers who are on console would have an ability to keep streaming, or maybe people would have the ability to see the stuff during the beta firsthand, just like the rest of us. And F, is there a way as a community that we can band together in some sort of a mutual pact whereby PC players will go and fight for console PMFs in first-person shooter conflict zones on the ground in exchange for those console players working in space CZs for the other group? I'm not that bright, but I'm just off the top of my head. If so, if that project started, could Frontier help to support it on the forums or in streams? Could we get something going there? I don't know. Those are the points that I made. I'm going to let people jump in on that, and then I want the people that added their own points after that to introduce them. So we're going to start going to... I'm trying to see that. I think the next person up is Tweaked. Go ahead.
Yep. Echo everything you just said there. I mean, for me personally, I need to get some answers, not about why the release is staggered, but what we're going to do about it. That being said, because the release is so staggered, I'm honestly not even looking at Odyssey anymore. I'm looking at what's next for me in game. Shortly before the Christmas break, they had come out and said that after the new year, they were going to take a look at fixing up maybe the security, the the law and security states, or they were going to take a look at how we got our mats and things like that. I want to see some of that implemented now to keep me interested, to keep me going. And we've heard nothing about it yet.
So for the record, when they said that, what they had said is those were things that they would be looking at next summer. They said, yes, we're going to look at crime and punishment. We're going to look at the engineering loops, and we're going to look at possibly questions on open play for like dig into whether or not we want to do it or whatever for power play and BGS. But those are things we're going to look at sort of next summer. I think the plan was we're going to release Odyssey. We're going to work the bugs and shit out of that. And then 3, 4, 5 months after that all wraps up, we will be free to look at crime and punishment and these other aspects. Obviously, with Odyssey being delayed, they're not going to be able to get around to looking at that. I wouldn't expect to see them looking at that for several months after that. So, I mean, don't look for that now.
So for 2 years, we've been hearing we can't do this, we can't do that because our whole team is working on Odyssey. And now Odyssey, in reality, should be done or damn close to it. And it's going to be 3, 4 years that we can't work on any of the actual game right now because we're quote unquote working on Odyssey.
Okay. Okay. Boss lady.
So, talking about where we go from here, it's almost a lot of us have said this today, and I think it's an important point, is that we're going back in time. We're resetting to, let's say, just to give people extra time 6 months ago or 8 months ago. We're resetting to when we first found out about Odyssey and how we're going to kind of kill time until it comes out. And for me personally, it seems like we're going to have to do a lot more of creating our own goals. And I'm glad that the CGs and the lore and the narrative is chugging along, because without that, that would be really difficult. But I think all of us are going to have to go back to, and I know Tweak talked about this on last week's episode, how kind of he's done everything to be ready for Odyssey, so he doesn't have a whole heck of a lot on his to-do list, but the rest of us are going to have to really get back into our to-do list and start to, kind of like we always have with Elite, create our own gameplay loops within what's already here. And in a way, maybe we are going to be spending time on other games and giving Elite a little bit of a breather, because we already have spent a lot of time in the game getting ready for this release. And we're not abandoning it altogether, but we're not putting all of our focus into it. We're kind of like, okay, well, when you guys get your shit together, we'll be back, but we're here, we're just waiting, we'll see you and whenever you get that together. And I do think what Tweaked brought up was a really great point, though, is that what we currently have, and Jez has brought this up also, which is we haven't seen anything in the Odyssey dev diaries or anything about current gameplay. So I think that there is something to be said for the fact that for 2 years they put us off. No, we're not fixing these things because Odyssey's rolling out. Now that Odyssey's not rolling out, can they dedicate a smaller portion of the team or a couple people to kind of doing some of those quality of life things that we talked about? Or can they work on some of the current gameplay loops, just like they did with the rebalancing, to make it feel like they're putting in some effort to what we are doing and what we're going to be playing for the next 8 months?
Okay. Right on. Roy, you're up.
So personally, the timing of this actually works for the expedition I've been on with Loose Screws. I mean, exploration, if you get the bug, is something that can tie up weeks, if not months. And since the beginning of the game, it's been one of my favorite gameplay loops, and it's a great way to, I don't want to say kill time, but it is a time-intensive activity. And I could easily fall down that rabbit hole and look up 6 months later, and now it's time to, look at, kind of reset back to where we thought we'd be with Odyssey.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I will say this, maybe if we're resetting our clocks, maybe now is the perfect time to go do that. Take the Canon challenge and fly, 80,000 light years around in circles and see all of the different things, the
Yeah, it's a
peduncles and
great
the
point.
brain trees and the whatever. I made a point in comms the other day. I was sitting there talking with, I think it was, me and Wolf and Sword and maybe somebody else, I forget, but I made the point of like, what could be cool? Maybe it would be stupid. Maybe it would be cool. I'm not sure. Like my brain isn't whatever, but like down the road after the Dark Wheel project comes to whatever conclusion it comes to, what would it be like to get a group of people, say get like 50 plus people, and like make a roster, actually make a duty roster of like, these are the people that are in on this. Put a fleet carrier or 2 or 3 and just make our own story of whatever. It could be anything. It could be, how some people have said like, man, what if they burned the bubble? What if whatever? I don't think Frontier's going to do that because they're trying to onboard a bunch of new players and that's a huge hassle, and then they're reduplicating their work and they're, they got to figure a bunch of extra shit out. But like, there's nothing to stop us from doing that. There's nothing to stop us from making a Battlestar Galactica story about these 2 fleet carriers that are, had to flee the bubble. They went off. They went off in a direction, hit like this coordinate, then this coordinates, then this coordinates, then work our way to Colonia like every 6 months or whatever for like a week's R&R, and then go back out where you have 50 people or 100 people who are all sort of creating, like, we get together and do like a Drew Wagar type thing or whatever, where somebody that is cleverer than me writes a narrative, writes a story, and then it's like, this is the story this week. We have to do this, we have to do that, and then you have the people that are on, give it a cool name, like, I don't know, project, like, the ARC project or whatever, and it's like humanity's last whatever, and you get people that like write a journal and write stuff, and you have activities, you have things that we have to go sort of do to like, oh, we're doing this for this thing or this for that thing, and we have to whatever, and like just make up our own fucking story and do like a cool, you go out exploring, and like, so the actual, the story wise whatever, people would be writing stories and making group activities that would be fun or whatever, but the mechanics of it would just be sort of 2 fleet carriers working in tandem, going out, or 1 fleet carrier, whatever, but going out, and then like teams of people mining and doing stuff to maintain it. A couple of people, doing a smuggling run where they got to jump back to the bubble for some reason, and it's like, oh yeah, we have to get, we're raiding for supplies, like when Kara Thrace went back to Capricorn or whatever during the whole, when the Cylons had it or whatever. Like, you can make a neat story, but the mechanics of it would basically just be a large group of people going out in a direction and doing massive exploration and like recording lots and lots and lots of stuff systematically. That, I mean, whatever. I don't know. That's a thing. Maybe it's dumb. Maybe it's cool. I don't know. All right. Going back to the recording booth channel, we've got Commander Sapphire Kamigawa. Go ahead, Snow.
I probably should have just changed my name so you stop tripping over it. On the exploration stuff, like, that's specifically what the Distant Worlds like exploration things are meant to do. Is they go out in a specific direction, and now with fleet carriers you've got all these stops that you can make, and you just go out and the group just goes system by system or multiple systems by multiple systems and just explores everything that's in that general area. I think that's a good I think that's a good idea to try and pass the time away. And I think that, getting a group together to do something above and beyond what the Distant Worlds excursions do would be it's a great idea. Fill it with storytellers so that you can have the logs done like what Roy's logs are doing for, I forget that commander's name.
Yuna Sakashiro.
Yeah, doing things like that, and then creating this content so that we have something above and beyond what FDev is doing. it would be really interesting, and it would actually generate more interest for somebody like me to get back into the game more regularly to witness these things, because power play is a very boring loop for somebody like me. Exploration is very amazing for someone like me, especially when you get to some new stuff, and this would be amazing new stuff if we could get, or if there is a player group out there that's already doing this, or we could start something like that. It would be what's the word I'm looking for? Saving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that could be very cool. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought, like, man, for all of the shit you can give Frontier over their over conservative lack of communication, yada yada yada, I will say this. They have given us, I feel, the greatest sandbox in the history of the human race for, like, gaming purposes of this galaxy. And, like, yeah, maybe we have to structure our own fun. Maybe we need a cruise director, somebody to get together, some content creator or two or whatever, and say, like, hey man, all you artsy fartsy types and exploration types and whatever, come with us. We're gonna do a fun thing. We're gonna make our own fun with this sandbox. And I mean, yes, on the one hand, super excited for wanting stuff, the new stuff, of course, that's human nature, but we could maybe work around something and try to put this time to productive use. All right, Tweaked is up next, and then I want Roy to start in on his addition to the suggestions. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, those are all great suggestions. And I totally agree. It is an amazing game, an amazing sandbox that I have put a lot of time in and a lot of effort into. And had they not said at all, if Odyssey didn't exist and we didn't know it was coming, I'd probably be perfectly content in finding something to do. But the fact that this was promised to us and that all these different changes were supposed to be coming and now they're not, it's just, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It leaves the universe, the galaxy, a little dry. The Galnet is great. The CGs are fun. Glad they're back. But I need more. I need more at this point. I can't. I personally don't feel like I can go on an expedition. I can't take 6 months and go away from the bubble because I have 15 systems and 100 guys I'm responsible for back home. So things have to happen. And I sure as hell would like to have some new things for me to do while I do that.
I get it, man. I get it. I think, honestly, I think, and I'm not saying this to be shitty, I'm saying this with love, Tweak. I think you're at the point where you need a break. I think you need to, for your own sanity, do maybe a day or two of Elite a week where you do some stuff and then fall in love with, a Zelda game or a race car game or if you want to go with another space sim, okay, fine, whatever. But, like, you need to sort of have something else to pour your enjoyment into for a little bit, I think. And I don't know. All right, Roy, you're up.
I'll just thread on that real quick. I hear what you're saying, Tweak, but it sounds like you're Atlas trying to hold up the world. And if you've built a team 100 people strong that's as high quality as I think it is, I'm willing to bet that there's several of them that would be willing to step up and divide up the duties you have and give you a break.
He said duty.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It wouldn't fall apart if I disappeared for a little while. It wouldn't. That being said, I guess that's my own personal bugaboo because I was in a squadron formerly that was big and strong, but it had an absent leader, and it ended up crumbling because of that. So,
this is
my
different.
own thing, I guess.
I would say give them a chance to step up, and you might be, your best hopes for how it could turn out might be pleasantly met. So give them a chance to do that. Don't go down with the ship. So what I was going to add to this list is, look, this is starting to feel kind of like a crisis for FDev, especially if any of the suspicions we have around the scope of the project changing or something really ugly wrong going on behind the scenes that they don't want to talk about. And in times of crisis, leaders don't hide. Leaders shouldn't be invisible. And FDev has an amazing one. I think this is a great time for a personal video from David Braben to the elite community. I'm not sure what he should say. That's, the difficult thing for him to figure out. That's why, how he's gotten to where he is he figures those things out. But he's definitely shown an ability to be very inspirational to the community in the past. And right now, as long as that's lacking, and the community team is, there's all these logical inconsistencies around what they are saying versus what they aren't saying. It feels like a car with 4 steering wheels. And that's exactly the problem that a confident, strong leader who just gets in front of it and is public about it can fix.
Right on. Okay, who had points H and I on the list? We got to get through them.
That would be me.
Go
That'd
for
be
it.
me. H actually is somewhat like ties into what Roy was saying. Maybe there isn't a crisis and we're all making it up in our heads. But the thing is, they are letting the player base make those conversations and they need to champion these discussions. And one of them, on my point, and Oz said it in the YouTube chat, Frontier needs to give a definitive answer on their plans for the future of if Elite Dangerous is going to be cross-platform. This is an issue that players are creating their own narrative for, and Frontier have to champion this discussion sooner rather than later. The more time goes by, the more cross-platform will start to become the standard in MMO gaming, the more the player base are going to expect it. So we need to know, yes, that is on the docket, or no, we've got no plans for it, not that's something we're looking into.
Okay.
And that's a huge one for the players. And then finally, boring, but it has to be done, Frontier has to list the max recommended / optimal system specs for Odyssey as soon as possible. We've got stimulus checks and tax returns coming up in the United States right now. Players will be likely appreciative of knowing where investments may be needed to maximize their rigs, if at all, whilst disposable income is available. That's to help them more than the player base. But that's the kind of foresight they need to be having.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you this much, and this might seem stupid. It might seem like it doesn't really make sense. But to me, if Frontier were to, number one, step up with open and honest communication right now and tell us legitimately where we're at and what's going on, and number two, say, hey, look, as a reward, as a nod towards your understanding and sticking with us, we are going to make a commitment to do crossplay by X date, whether that is, we're going to do crossplay 6 months from now, or we're going to do crossplay a year from now. If they were to make a serious commitment to achieving that, I personally feel like that plus open and honest communication, even if that honest communication came with delays or whatever, if they said, here's the truth, here's a roadmap, we're going to stick to it, and we're giving you crossplay, I'd be right back up on top of the world. I'd be like, oh, that's so great. Because even, I don't give a fuck about Pew Pew, but I love the Pretty Planets, and I'm hopeful for the stuff we haven't heard yet. I'm really hopeful for salvaging. I'm really hopeful for plant, exobotanics. And if you give us a confirmation that like we're working on the crossplay, that sends it right back up to me of like, all right, I'm back on the hype train. You need to stick to it now. You need to come through with your promises, but I'm excited. Go ahead, Jess.
I was just going to sign off, and just everything that we've been saying and that and what you're saying, and I just want to sum up. Elite is a game where most of us have been tolerant of what we have in the current state, and we hope to hell what we want comes in the future. And I just hope with all of this, we actually finally end up to be in a spot, eventually, for the first time, where we're happy with what we have, and we're positive for the future, rather than hoping to hell that we're going to get what we want sometime in the future.
Tweaked.
When I come down to the core of all of this, I mean, listen, 3 weeks ago, I don't know that there was anybody more excited for Odyssey than myself. And if they would just come out with some open and honest conversation and tell us everything is okay and tell us what's going to be in the game, there's no need to hide it now. There's no more building up hype at this point. Tell us what we're going to get or tell us what we aren't going to get. Let's just have some open conversations and tell us about it. They do that, I could feel totally excited and hopeful for the future again. But the last 2 weeks have been anything but that. So that's all they need to do.
100%. I hear you, and I acknowledge the validity of what you're saying. And I acknowledge over and above the validity of what you're saying, the fact that you have the right to feel what you feel. Because, like, legit, you were given promises. Those promises were broken. Now you have absolutely every right to say, I'm pissed, and I want answers. I want real fucking answers as to, you know, I bought a cheeseburger. You gave me a chicken sandwich. I want to talk to the manager. What the fuck? Don't tell me.
More.
Go ahead.
It's more than that I'm pissed. It's that I have doubts now. I didn't have doubts before. I have doubts now, and I need those to go away if they want me to get back to that excitement.
Fair enough. I get it, man. I get it. So for those people that are sort of keeping track at home, we did a continuation and closed the loop on our, okay, we've said everything to say about the delay. Now, it may come up in the future as more news comes out. There may be future comments or whatever, but as a major topic, that is done. And we transitioned into the what we think can be done to help fix it going from here. Not being negative about the past, but looking at just from where we're at today, how do we move forward as best as possible? How can Frontier move forward as best as possible? I feel like I want to still leave this open one last round. Does anybody have anything they want to add to the productive, how can we make things better from today forward? Just go ahead and take, don't not talk over each other, but anyone that wants to hop in and say your piece.
Tell us where Raxler is, thanks.
I think that the best thing that Frontier can do right now, moving forward, is to just bite the bullet, rip the Band-Aid off, and let us know, become transparent about everything.
Fair. I agree strongly. All right. Seems like everybody's said their piece. I hope you guys have enjoyed the conversation. So just as a recap for those that are writing in, I want you to write in, and I'll say this, anybody, you can obviously always write in by going to the Discord and going into the channel. If you look under general text, there is a channel that says, let's see, Elite Week Show Discussion. Sorry. We're actually using community feedback of the week. Sorry. Use that one for discussing this. Elite Week Show Discussion is just talking about, like, do this or that in the show. But community feedback of the week. Always, you can also write in to eliteweek3306@gmail.com. But this week, specifically this week, for those of you who wait until just a few minutes from now when we close out the show and go in and post a comment with your feelings of any of these community questions in the comment section of the YouTube, I am going to next week pull one of those comments for a prize. I'll have to figure out what it is, and I'll get back to you. So it'll be something. I think either a special limited edition paint pack from Frontier that has like paints and jobs and decals or whatever, or like a album from Miguel Johnson. I'll figure that out. I'm just doing this off the top of my head, but I specifically want to drive up the comment section of this YouTube video so that I can really look at it and see, like, man, everybody, we had a whole range of discussions today, and what did you guys think? So community question number 1 is about this week's CG. What do you think about your thoughts on all of the stuff we discussed on this week's CG, or anything we failed to discuss? Community question number 2, week 2 of the delays and the feeling setting in. So what do you think of going back to the original conversation about the delays last week, and then now how do you feel week 2 into it and where they're at with things, and et cetera, et cetera? I know I personally was feeling at the end of week 1 like, okay, for sure next week we're going to start some open and honest communications. We're going to start to work this back. We're going to start to get it fixed. Feel like there was an opportunity or two missed there, but maybe you feel differently. Tell me what you think. Community question number 3, where do we go from here? Not assigning blame, not calling anybody out, not whatever. Maybe it's entirely because of COVID. Maybe it's not hardly because of COVID. It's lots of other stuff and we haven't been told the truth. Maybe it's some mixture of the two, whatever, but that's all irrelevant. We're at where we're at. And we're not trying to be shitty to Frontier. We're not trying to go Latvian. We're trying to say, how can we as adults work together to make tomorrow better? So that's community question number 3. And then it's not listed, but always community question number 4. There's always an extra community question is, what do you think about the show? Whatever. Do I talk too much? Does the show suck? Is it too short? Is it too long? Are we too negative? Are we too positive? Whatever. Say a thing. If you're like, I just want to see Tweaked and WKJEZZ Jello wrestle, put it in the comments. Whatever. So that's that. Those are the community questions.
Sorry,
there you go. There you go. For feedback, we're not going to read specific feedback because there was a lot of it this week. But I will say, without getting into details, I will make the comment that, man, so many people publicly reached out in the comment section or in the Discord, or privately reached out in the Discord and thanked the whole crew, every one of us, very, very much for sort of having the balls to have an open and honest conversation and to call Frontier out where we feel they were wrong. Many people said that they appreciated that, and I just want you to know that we appreciate you and that it is our commitment to always try and find the positive with Frontier, because we do support Frontier. We do love this game. We're all here for a reason, but not be a shill or a white knight for a $1.6+ billion company. Just tell the truth. When they do well, we'll call it. When they don't, we'll call it. All right, so let's wrap this up. State of the game. We're going to start with the ladies. Boss Lady B, you go first.
I would say state of the game is probably a 7 for me right now.
Fair. All right. Snow, you're up.
I'm stuck between it being not worth my coming back and being like, I want to come back a lot. So I'll say it's a 5.
Fair. Let's move on to Tweaked. Your feelings.
Yeah, I'd have to give it, I'll probably go with Boss Lady and say a 7. I still love this game. There's still a lot to do, but the BGS has had some bugs of late. They seem to have evened out, but I can't trust that they are totally evened out. Our squad bookmarks have disappeared and haven't come back yet. Little things like that ruin the gameplay for me. And add that with everything else going on, I can't give it the high grades I always have in the past.
Fair, man. Fair. Next up, WKJEZZ, our chief engineer.
The second that we're in right now, 7, and I've said that the last few times you've asked too. But future? Well, we're under 5 right now, unless they say something. So
okay. And my XO, Roy, hop in.
I'm gonna give the state of the game a 6 right now. I think they're on the bubble, but it's completely recoverable with some good, all the things we said. Paradoxically, personally, I'm like a 9 this week. When I first joined the game a year ago, shortly afterwards, I joined the first big expedition with Loose Screws, and I'm kind of reliving the nostalgia of that right now. Hell, I'm even rewatching all the pilot videos when he was first putting out all the strings of videos of the ships, and I got excited about buying all those. And I know it's like I'm in a little bubble with all this crap going around.
No, man.
But I'm digging it. Digging it. I'm just really enjoying it.
Don't ever feel bad or ashamed or in any way guilty about loving this game, man. That's awesome. That's beautiful. Good for you. I appreciate that. I agree with you. I'm at a 6. personally for the game. I feel like I'm at a 6, but I'm going to have a few more drinks and then pass out, and tomorrow's a new day. And every one of us, I mean, Frontier is just a company, and a company is just a group of people. And all of us as people can always choose to wake up and do better tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. Honestly, I give it a 6 right now. If next week we get another week of radio silence, that drops to a 4. If next week they come out and bite the bullet and give us some hard news, but give it to us straight, that jumps up to an 8. If next week they come out and give us some details and it's better than I had sort of worried or been scared of, but like they're giving us actual details and a firm plan of like, hey, we're committing to this series of roadmaps or whatever, that could jump up to a 9. That could jump up to a 10. Like I reserve the right to push things up if they get their shit on track, and I hope that they do, because as plainly as I've called them out for when I feel they do wrong, I love this game. There's so many fucking amazing things on this game. I've been playing a decent amount of Star Citizen lately, and when you compare the two side by side, Elite just looks like an amazing product in so many ways. There's things that Star Citizen does that Elite doesn't, and I'm scratching that itch. I'm running around on my ship. I'm mining in caves. I'm mining on planets. I'm driving a mining SRV. I'm doing all of that stuff, and I love scratching that itch. But like the stability, the functionality, the scope in so many ways of Elite is just incredible compared to anything. So I want to be happy with them, and I hope to God that they give us reason to next week. All right, so we'll start off with Tweak. Say goodbye to the beautiful people.
I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with some better news and some fun conversations.
Right on. Roy?
Fly casual, stay dangerous.
Right on. Boss Lady?
Have an amazing weekend, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.
And Snow?
I'm going to say goodbye to y'all. And contrary to what Roy said, fly dangerous, stay casual.
There you go. I want to thank you for coming and joining us tonight, Snow. It's been awesome. I'm super, super glad that we got to meet you as a result of this crazy contest. It was very, very cool, and I thought you were great on the show. For all the people out there, I'm going to say, crack open a beer, try to have fun playing your spaceship game, and if that's just not doing it, go do something else, but be happy. I love you guys. Talk to you next week.
WKJEZZ says goodbye too.
Ready, go.
For news,
Oh boy.
Wow. Hold on. We're going back and unending the show because I'm a fucking idiot and I left out our chief engineer, WKJEZZ. So, WKJEZZ, I want you to, this is your time to shine. You get double time to say goodbye to everybody. I'm so sorry, man. I'm fucking whatever. I'm drunk.
No. Oh god, I snorted. Yeah, goodbye everybody. And if you've not seen it, if you've been too young, if you've not seen it for a while, watch Babylon 5.
Fuck yeah.
Go watch Babylon 5. I mean, it's the best thing ever, and that's why I'm flying a spaceship in Elite Dangerous today. I'm not gonna lie.
And so it begins.
1, 2, ready.
I was wondering why you called me before you called Jez. That was so good.
That's classic. Classic.
I thought maybe Jez got caught in the transporter beams.
Oh no.
No, it was
Uh-huh. No.
good.
The mic's hot, apparently.
You say it hot mic.
Not according to chat.
Oh, not according to chat.
This is the after party.
Oh, jeez.
The new feature to Elite Week.
Twitch is now getting in on the action.
Oh
man.
no, it's definitely still live. I just unmuted Twitch and it's live.
The best corporate reel ever. Keep it going. I seriously do think we need to have the post elite.
It's a love.
All right, yeah. So apparently, no. Actually, hold on. Everybody's we're unmuting it all. Here we go. I fucked up hardcore and left the mics open, but didn't have the song playing. So now we're gonna start all over and close this shit again, and we're gonna edit the fuck out of all that before it goes to podcast.
Don't touch me there.
Yeah. Hey, Tweak. You signed your contract. I'll touch you where I goddamn like. All right, here we go. Ending it again.
1, 2, ready, go.
Don't let me down.
Ready, go.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Nobody ever loved me like she does. Who she does. Yeah, she does. And if somebody loved me like she do, oh, she do. Yeah, she does. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. I'm in love for the first time. Don't you know it's gonna last? I'm in love for the first time. It's a love that lasts forever. It's a love that has no past. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. And for the first time that she really done, ooh, she done good. I guess nobody ever really done like she done. She done good.